Well, we have some folks still coming in, but should we get started, Anjali?
Absolutely. I'm just trying to get into. Yep, go for it.
All right. Well, I will just start off with a little bit of housekeeping. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining our Let's Talk Luxury call. We meet every first Wednesday. So our next call is on March 1st, and we have a terrific guest speaker lined up for March 1st. We'll talk about that at the end. The objective of our call is to connect luxury-focused agents with industry leaders. There's 3 hosts on this call. I'm Jennifer Scales. I'm in Tampa. I am with Anjali Gill. She's also in Tampa. And Jason Smith's down in South Florida in Miami. So we actually, a lot of you have found us on our Facebook group page. We've been posting our event updates there. It's a little easier to communicate that way, and we will continue to. I'll make sure that I put that group page in the chat for those of you who haven't found us on Facebook yet. And then if you prefer to receive emails, there's an email subscription link I'll put in the chat as well. And finally, the call is recorded, and then we post it to a YouTube page where you can view or share at your leisure. So I'll put all of that information in the chat. And I think we can get started. Anjali, if you'd like to introduce our exciting guest today.
The classic, you need to unmute. Got it. Well, thanks, Jen. All righty. Today is really exciting for us because we have with us Dan, who lives in this boring little place you all might have heard of, Hawaii. You know, nothing really happens there. It's one of those boring places. I need to go and visit him then, liven it up. But Dan is the leader and trainer with the Keller Williams Real Estate Planner Community. And now this is a brand new community, and Dan brings with him a lot of experience. In fact, 17 years of experience building platforms around education and client advocacy. He and his team have helped over 1,300 families reach their real estate goals. And one of the things that I really love about Dan is that he founded Silver Spoons, which is a nonprofit dedicated to serving older adults who can no longer help themselves. I mean, that is beautiful. And that is something I really must applaud you for, Dan.
Thank you.
So we have him talking to us today about conversations with luxury. Now, all of us aren't luxury certified, but we all want to be. And so Dan's going to teach us how to get there. So without further ado, I hand it over to Jason and Dan.
Thank you so much, Anjali. I appreciate that. Good to see everybody. And as we say in Hawaii, aloha. Okay, let's get going here. So,
Aloha.
Aloha, everybody. I see some of my friends here from all over the country. Thanks so much. Yeah, Anjali, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jason.
What time is it there?
It is 6:04 in the morning.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get out of here at 7 so I can get in the water. Okay.
Gotta go
That's the life.
surfing.
Yeah, I gotta go surf today. Yeah.
That's it. Surfing. That's fantastic. And you see every sunrise. Your mission, you said, is to see every sunrise and every sunset every day, correct?
Until I die. Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. The floor is yours, Dan. We're open to limit, sir.
Thanks so much, Jason. Okay, so today I want to take you on a journey, kind of sharing with you what we do for luxury clients, but also for almost every client, okay? And because a client's a client, if you really care for another human being, you're going to treat them the same, right, in that sense. So what does it look like? Well, how do you attract luxury listings? We're going to talk about what are luxury sellers looking for, right? If we know what somebody's looking for, we can go and present it to them. How do you be prepared for that presentation? And then how do you promote that luxury listing? And finally, we're going to spend most of the time on conversations and questions that's going to elevate your game, right, in all areas. So what does that look like? Well, what you might want to do is work on some networking and marketing to luxury agents. We all know that. That's pretty simple. Networking and marketing to allied partners. Like, what's an allied partner? Well, an allied partner is somebody that the wealthy go to. So if somebody has a luxury home and they have wealth, they oftentimes have wealth in real estate and many other forms. Well, who do they go to before they make a big decision? Well, they're going to go to a number of people. One is a trust attorney to make sure everything's protected. The other, they're going to go to the CPA to make sure that they're abiding by the laws of the IRS and making sure they can minimize taxes. And third is they're going to go to a financial planner. This is a person that holds most of their wealth and is somebody they rely on, a trusted advisor, right? So these are what we call allied partners. Because if you think about that, if you're in the mind of all three of these people, and a wealthy older adult comes to them, or somebody with a luxury property comes to them and asks a question, what if you were the person that they shared your name with, right? You're going to get referrals. And that's really what we did. We started building that early on in our career, and I'll show you how we did that. We built most of our business on seminars. 16 years ago, we started seminars literally 6 months after my getting a license. I committed to $24,000 a year, $2,000 a month for an ad in the newspaper. It was called an advertorial, and I wrote an article there, and I brought people to a seminar. It was all about education, right? Because people want information. People want information that they need. And so they came. And when they came, we shared that. They understood who we are, what we do. We believed that we could help them. They signed up and we got appointments. And we still do them, by the way. I've done over 1,000 seminars, live seminars here in our market. I'll do at least 2 to 3 or sometimes 4 a month. There was a point in time I did 8 a month. Okay, so don't do that. That's crazy. Senior relocation services, we talked about that. That's one of the types of 1031 exchanges. Now, these two areas are the two largest areas that you're going to see, because a wealthy older adult's going to have problems in two areas. One is their home and the other is their investment properties, right? We did investment seminars, building and transferring wealth. We did buy and flip seminars. We did tons of different types of seminars where you could attract people with financial resources. Trust and probate seminars. We're working on those as well now, right? So these are the types of seminars you could do in your market that when you provide information to people, people are going to show up, right? And lastly, we have one that's called the real estate planner, which is actually the most popular, most successful model that we have, because we pull it all together into one seminar, right? We attract them to one seminar, and they get so much information that they sign up to do business with us. The other way to do it is mailers. What if you targeted mailers to the wealthy? What if you target them, as we do, wealthy older adults owning their home over 7 years, over $1 million? You're going to have a target market that when you present a question to them and they say, yes, I need to know that, they're going to call you or they're going to come to a seminar, right? So that's been our model over the last 17 years of how we built our business, right? So what are luxury sellers looking for? Well, number one, they want mastery level of knowledge. What does that look like? Well, the homes, the structures of homes, the styles of homes, the construction of homes, roofs, the different types of roofs, different types of floor plans, different types of fixtures, different types of countertops and cabinets. What I did when I first got into real estate, I spent my lunches walking around Home Depot and Lowe's, and I started just asking questions, right? If you continue to live a life of curiosity, ladies and gentlemen, you will learn more than if you were trying to talk to somebody about what you know, right? So think of it this way. The mindset that helped me the most is I wake up every day telling myself, what do I need to know that I don't know? What do I need to know that I don't know? And if you wake up every day and you constantly live a life of that, you're always going to ask questions, and you're going to live in a life of curiosity, right? Versus judgment, right? They want high-level concierge service. What does that look like? Well, anything and everything that's involving a home, number one. Like if somebody says, well, my windows are broken, or my roof's leaking, or my pool pump's not working, or I need a landscaper for this, or whatever it is, or there's a part of my tile that needs fixing. If you have solutions, they need you, right? Most agents are going to say, when you fix that, call me. I'll put a sign in the ground after you fix that. No, you want to get in front of that. You want to build this relationship so strong that you're the guy that they call for anything and everything, right? Having a solution for everything and anything in real estate matters. Take that to a whole nother level, having connections with doctors, dentists, right? Optometrists. When people move into your community, if they need these services, know the school districts, right? Know where the hospitals are, know how the programs work in your market. That's what people want. And the wealthy, they kind of want it to talk to one person. They don't want to make 15 calls. They want to call one person that has it all, right? You can be that complete solution for them, right? As you go through building your career. Having a strong network matters because they want to know, if I give you my property to sell, who do you know that might have buyers, right? So this network here is a great example, right? That you're part of this network. Being part of KW, right? We're the largest real estate company the world's ever seen. That's amazing, right? We have a ton of connected realtors here, right? Use that information when you go to the market. Proven experience is really going to help, right? For us, we have a map that shows every listing and buyer that we've sold, and it kind of populates the entire market, right? There's really not a market that we don't serve, right? And so what if you had that, right? And for those who are new, know that you're going to build that, and it happens one at a time. But over time, you're going to amass the number of closed sales, and I would show that. I would explain that this is my level of experience that we've done. You know, for example, and somebody says, you know, I'm thinking about a discount broker, or I want to use my cousin's brother's sister's friend, right? Right? And say, so the quick example is putting that in an analogy. You know, so if you were to go, let's say you had a bad shoulder and you were going to go to fix your shoulder, you know, going to a surgeon, would you want the surgeon who did it 3 or 4 times a year or 150 times a year? Say, well, I want 150 times a year. Well, that's us. This is what we do, right? And so it'll help them kind of relate things when you put it in a way that they can understand how they're going to make a decision and have them work for you. Hyper local market knowledge, really important. And especially in the luxury market, knowing who bought what, who sold what, who lives where, right? People want to know that, right? Especially in the luxury market. They want to know hyper local, right? Areas in communities. Well, this community has a gate, this community doesn't. This community has this type of heated pool, this one doesn't. You know, that type of thing really matters, and it sets you apart when talking to folks that you're trying to get business from. And marketing to attract that luxury agent is really important. Let me show you a few examples. First, start with online research, right? We start with understanding who we're dealing with. So we're going to dig deep. We're going to go find some information, right? We're going to Google that guy. Like, who is this person? What do they do? Who are they related to? You know, I want to know what kind of personality I'm going to deal with when I walk in the door. I want to know, is he an accountant and an engineer with a high C kind of guy? Or is he a sales guy? Or is he works at UPS or whatever it is, right? Or maybe he doesn't work, right? If you haven't tried it before, we use Truth Finder and Spokio. These are 2 things that I can find. If you put your name in there, I can find all of your family and where they live and when they bought it. I can find their phone numbers, their emails. I'll be able to find everything about them, right? And then obviously another area is social media as well. That's not on there, right? But before you walk into that opportunity, be as prepared as possible. Know who you're working with and how do you approach them. You have to be the chameleon, right? You want to be that chameleon. So learning about them is really important. Now for us, we have VAs. Literally in 20 minutes, I'll have all this done and I can walk into a presentation. It'll be on my phone. I click on it and I can read it all and I can move very quickly. Right? So creating systems around that is going to help you scale your business as well. And then the property background, what you're going to want to learn is everything about that property. You know, the tax records, the title info, if you can, if they pull permits, if you can get a plat map, the last time it was transferred, you'll want to know that because that's the last time that seller bought it. And you want to know a number of things, such as, did they get it at a smoking hot deal? Or did they pay a premium for it? Did they get a lot of credits for it? Did they buy a deferred maintenance home? Then you show up, it's really nice, right? Today with technology, you know, when I started, there was no Google Maps, there was no satellite view. You know, I basically got in my car and I drove around in the dark looking at homes. Okay, now you can click it on your cell phone and your laptop, right? Use those technology tools to help you learn more before you show up. Don't just show up, right? And then what we do is we prepare this listing, pre-listing book, and we email it to them. And then we'd like to drop it off to them as well. Sometimes if it's a higher price one, we'll drop it off with a little thing of flowers or candy or something to show them that we are the higher level versus everybody else that they're going to see, and make it impressive. So there's one on the left. It's going to look like this. This is the Unibind. Unibind is a thick leather book. When you give it to them, it's gold embossed. When they get it, they go, wow, you made this for me? It's a coffee table book, right? It's a coffee table, and people just love it. Or brochures. When you do brochures, do really fine quality, high gloss, thick quality brochures. Because when you think of the neighbors walking in, what they're doing is they're interviewing agents, right? And they're going to look at, how do you sell real estate, and do I want that? Versus if you come in with just a piece of paper with an MLS sheet, I don't know if that's going to be really exciting, right? Let me see, maybe I can. This is kind of what it looks like. We do a flip book, so they can go through, know who we are, talk about your family, get to know them. This is with me and Gary 10 years ago on stage at Mega Camp. The sales you've done, accolades, things that they're going to want to know. And then the process, you want to educate them, right? So we have this flow chart that shows them that this is not our first rodeo. We do this a lot. And because we do it a lot, we have systems in place. See, the high C guy, they like that, right? And that's why you want to know what button to press on when you go. We have a 52-point marketing program, and we talk about all the things that we do. And I tell them this is only about 1/10 of what you'll actually get from us, because most of that's behind the scenes, right? You won't see that. Getting the home ready for sale, right? All the things that we'll do for them. Global marketing, right? 300, when people ask me, what's your extent of marketing? I say, I kind of joke with this. I say, we do have limitations. We limit it to the planet. Yeah, we won't go off the planet, 350 websites all over the world. But unfortunately, we're stuck on the planet. And I laugh about that, right? Because anywhere somebody has a cell phone or an iPad, they're going to find your property, because our marketing is so expensive, right? Brochures, also feedback. They want to know that, right? If you have a system that says everybody who comes in, I'm going to know what they say about how it was presented, and the condition and price, and if they're going to submit an offer, right? Valuable information, websites, right? Target marketing. And then I said, you know what? Don't believe me. Please go Google us, and then you tell me what people are telling you about them, because we're the highest reviewed in the market. Okay, now how do I get out of it? Okay, I need help, Jimmy. Sorry, I say that I'm a technology immigrant because I grew up in a time where there were no cell phones. Most of you grew up with cell phones in your hand. Okay, thanks, Jimmy. My tech specialist, my wife. She's only 1 year younger than me. Don't think that I robbed the cradle. Okay. Okay, so how do you promote luxury listings? Well, you all know this. I'm just going to kind of whiz through this. Superior photography and videography that accents the value proposition. Before you even go to the market, make a list of all your value propositions, and make sure that the photographer and the videographer capture those moments, right? Showcase a neighborhood and lifestyle. When people buy homes, they're not buying a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. They're buying a lifestyle that they choose to live in that environment, right? So focus on the lifestyle. We say in sales, you have features and benefits, right? Features is 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Benefits are the things that they see as a value, right? Language that instill an emotion, that triggers that. We believe that logic makes people think and emotion makes people act. Well, how do you get people to act, right? For example, we had a property that it was really tiny and there was no yard. And we said, man, this is going to be really hard to sell. And so we flipped that conversation to backyard removed for your convenience, right? Things like that. Because why? Because that's the target market. So know that when you put a listing on the market, you're not going to appeal to everybody likely. You will likely have a market. So understand who that is and what matters to them. Okay, what matters to them. in target areas where luxury buyers are coming from, right? Our command will help you with that. Your escrow company will help you with that. And then share everything via social media, as you all know, right? And then our market is huge. Our network is huge, right? Use your network, use this group to be able to share information, because that's where people, you never know where the sellers are going to come from, right? And then most importantly, to your database. Your database is your gold mine, right? And build it. You know, Gary always tells us, you know, feed it every day and touch it regularly. Exactly. If you follow that model, you're going to grow. We have about 17,000 in our database. Why? Because everyone that we touch, we capture, and we feed and we touch, right? So you want to have a robust database. So if you're by yourself, anybody you get it into the system, right? And in marketing and open houses. Open houses are an amazing opportunity to capture more business. Why? Because people who are coming there are either looking to buy or sell, right? They're either looking to buy or sell. So here, I'm going to move into questions now. Questions to secure appointments for buyers. Okay. So when somebody walks into an open house, and this is going to get a little granular because I've got, I don't know, Kapil, you got to tell me how many questions there are, but there's a lot of questions that we're going to run through here. And the reason for that is these questions are going to help you convert to an appointment, and these questions are going to help you convert to an agreement. Those are the two most important things in real estate, right? I think you're going to all agree. Getting an appointment, you don't have an agreement until you get to the appointment. I think we can agree to that. And then you don't have business until you get to an agreement. Okay, so this is kind of what we coach and train our own team with. You know, would you like to learn the process and how to protect yourself as a buyer? Who's going to say no to that? Okay. By the way, all these questions, I know the answer before I ask it. And the answer is going to be yes. Why? Because psychology says that if somebody says yes 6 times to your questions, the 7th time, it doesn't matter what question you ask, they're going to say yes, because you've trained them to say yes. So think about that. It's not that hard. There's a lot of psychology behind successful agents and how they operate. Do you know the ways you can cancel on a contract? Now, why would you say that? Well, I say that because we're the advocate. If we're the advocate, if I'm going to look out after you, I'm going to teach you how to cancel. And I asked them, have you ever heard of a realtor tell you how to cancel? I have 100% of the time it says no. No one's ever done that. Why? Because realtors, if you cancel a contract, do they get paid? No. So who are they really looking out for? Themselves. Who do you want? You want somebody looking out for you, right? So I'm going to teach you how to cancel. There's 7 ways in our market how to cancel. Would you like to know? Answer is yes. That's the second yes. Okay. Here's a simple one. And this is used all over the place. If you could, would you? Okay. A guy walks into an open house and I say, what brought you in today? And he says, oh, I just saw the signs. You know, I'm not looking. I mean, I'm killing time. I ran and I'll never buy. And I said, well, if you could, would you? He goes, yeah. Well, why don't we get you set up for an appointment to see if that works? He said, yeah. He closed about 2 months later. We changed this guy's life. He now is a homeowner when he thought he could never own a home. By a simple question, if you could, would you? And you can apply that to anything that you do. If you could, would you? Right? Because you know what the answer is going to be? The answer is going to be yes. Because that's what they want, right? You're only going to ask it if you could do what you want to do, would you? Yeah. Pretty simple, right? I'm a simple guy, sorry. What else? Tell me more. This is a way to get people to keep talking. Okay, so think about it this way. If I get you to keep talking to me, you're going to like me better, right? You're going to like me better. There's more trust for some reason, although I may not have said anything other than ask you questions. But you trust me because I care enough to ask the question. I care enough to learn what's important to you. So tell me more, right? Pretty simple. Would you like to do this sooner or later? So if somebody says, yeah, you know, I guess I could. And then the action question is, would you like to do this sooner or later? Who says later? Nobody says later. That's like a yes, right? I guess sooner. Great, right? Last question is, would you like to get started now? Right, that's it. So advocacy, guys, is going to build trust. Advocacy builds trust. If you only speak about yourself and what's important to you, when people said, oh, I'd love to do this for you, I said, well, go love yourself, because it doesn't matter to me. You know, people have a tendency of speaking in ways that matters to them. And when you hear them speak, you know that it's about them. Then there's other people that are going to ask questions. They really care and concern is about you. So you're going to start listening to that as you go through your days now, I'm sure. Okay. So getting to the appointment, what's causing you to consider moving? What's causing you to consider moving, right? When somebody says, you know, I'm thinking about selling my house, what you want to find is motivation, right? Because without understanding motivation, you have no button to push other than your own, right? In your ideal world, where would you move to? I would say, where would you go, right? And see, if they don't have a clear destination, they're not going to sell. They're not going to sell. If you help them bring clarity to that destination, they will sell. If they have to have clarity to where they're going, how they're going to get there, and how easy or stressful will this be. Your goal as a real estate planner is to remove these obstacles, right? Show them how simple and easy this can be, and they're going to hire you. When would you like to do that? Real simple. You want to get timing around that. Would you like to do that sooner or later? Funny how that works all the time. Okay. Shall we get started? All of these are yeses. This is how you're going to get to the appointment, right? Get that listing appointment. Great. Is Thursday or Friday better for you, right? I'm going to use a choice close, by the way. So every time I get to, shall we get started, I'm not going to say, oh, when's good for you? No, you're busy. Pretend you're busy. Just pretend, right? And make it so that it fits your schedule first, and then it'll fit their schedule. Okay, so do a choice close. Is mornings or afternoons better? Is Thursday or Friday better? Or weekdays or weekends better? Whatever it is, they will make a choice. If you say, oh, tell me when's good, and say, well, let me check my schedule, and then you're going to lose that opportunity, right? You get down right to them, right? Okay, questions and conversations at the presentation. Now, this is when I'm going to talk about two different types of properties. There's a primary residence and their investment properties, two different types of properties. And you're going to approach them a little differently because the strategy is going to be a little different. The needs are different. Their problems are a little different, right? And the burdens are a little different, okay? So first thing you want to understand the seller's motivation. When I go into a presentation, I ask the same question all the time. What would you like to accomplish today? Now, I'm showing up at the listing presentation, and most people who go to the listing presentation, they're going to go and start talking about themselves. I'm not going to do that. I want to know what matters to them. I don't want to waste and just talk to them at the end of the time they close the door and say, that guy's an idiot. He didn't even ask me a single question, right? He didn't even know what matters to me. So I start with that question. What would you like to accomplish today? At the end, and sometimes if I know I have a time frame, because I do a lot of these appointments, I would say, what would you like to accomplish in the next 60 minutes? Right? So they're clear on how much time I'm going to allow this opportunity to happen. Right? So, and what do you think they tell me? They tell me exactly what they wanted to get out of it. And you know what's shocking is it throws them off. They don't expect me to ask that question. Right? What are the three most important things you're looking for in your listing agent? Really important. You could go through a whole laundry list of things that you think bring value to them, and none of them would touch their button, right? You want to find out first. So instead of saying all the 12 things you do, speak about only what matters to them. And the only way you're going to find out is to ask, right? Just ask, what's the three most important things? And I use three because it's specific, right? The high C guy will tell you 1, 2, and 3, right? What would you like me to know about you and your property? Allow them to talk about what matters to them. Allow them, pretend that it's important that you know what's important to them, right? oh, I bought the house because of this reason. Oh, my neighbors, and let them talk, right? Oh, they'll tell you about the neighbors. They'll tell you about the work that they did. They're going to tell you about everything. They'll tell you about the first time they walked on the property before they bought it. You know, that's nostalgic to them. Where are you moving to, right? Again, if you don't have clarity in the future is not going to come. And are you planning to move before you sell? The reason why we ask that is we need to figure out, sometimes they're going to move and sometimes they're not going to move. Do I have to sell it with it occupied or can I sell it vacant, right? That's a big deal because we're going to approach it a little differently, right? How you service them is going to be a little different. And when would you like to have your home sold by? Right? Because sometimes when people say, oh, I'm not in a rush, you know, most people will say that I'm not in a rush. And then you find out later, well, actually, my kid's going to graduate this year. My son's going to graduate, and I do want to follow him to college, and that's going to be, oh yeah, that's going to be in May, right? Now, what do you think might get in your way? So based on their goal, understanding everything that they need to accomplish, you're looking for obstacles. You're looking for things that they're going to say, I need you to solve this, right? And once you bring the problem to the surface in any business, guys, I'm a businessman, I've had a number of them. In any kind of business, once you identify a problem and bring it to the surface and you provide a solution to that, game over, you won. You won. It's that simple, right? It's that, but you have to come with curiosity. What's causing you to want to sell, right? Sometimes you think it's one thing, but it's not. It could be wrong. You could be totally wrong. And how do I move this up? And what happens if you don't sell? Right? Wouldn't we need to know that? And that's the reverse psychology of, oh, shoot, I don't want that to happen to me. I better price it right. So here's some questions for the primary residence again when selling it at the listing presentation. What you want to do is you want to learn more about the relinquished property, the property they're selling, right? And this is, you're trying to gather information, right? Have you made any improvements to the property, right? Because you already looked at when they bought it, you know what it looked like when you bought it. And then you want to know, because when you ask that question, they're going to tell you time, money, and effort and heartache of doing what it took to get them to where they are today. You want to know the value in their heart. You don't want to say, oh, that's nice. And that really, no, that was really important to them. If you just breeze over an emotion, they're not going to like you. It's like, man, I spent months for this little tile thing that I did, right? And you go, oh, that's nice. And you walk away. It's like, wow, that just hurt their feelings.
8 questions on this one.
Okay, thanks. Is there anything special about your property you want us to know? Let them talk. Are there any challenges of owning the property? You want to know, hey, you know, my neighbor is kind of a pain in the butt, and the guy in the back from me, you know, he plays this loud music. By the way, these are disclosure items, right? What's your mortgage balance? Why is that important? See, most agents aren't going to ask these questions. Why? Because they're trying to sell somebody, right? We're going to ask the question because we need to know what their equity position is, right? We need to know how much money they're getting out of that to move to the next property, right? But if you're only selling it and you don't really care about that person, you're not going to ask that question, right? Do you know your capital gains tax liability? Same thing. Most people don't ask that question. Why? It doesn't impact the realtor. It doesn't impact commissions, but it impacts the seller about his tax liability. What's your holding cost? What happens if you don't sell? You know, how much of a burden will that be? Do they have a large mortgage? And they, you know, if they leave it vacant, it's going to cost them $8,000 a month, or is it free and clear and they got property tax? And then who's your trust attorney, CPA, and financial planner? I asked that to every single client. And the reason why I started doing that is I wanted to know who the trusted advisors in my market were. That was over a decade ago. I know almost all of them now. Why? Because that was my lead generation, ladies and gentlemen. What I did is I called them all. And I said, hey, Joe, you know, we have a mutual client, Jason, and he's thinking of selling his house. You know, are you taking more clients? He goes, yeah, I am. I said, well, great. I'd love to learn more about your business. Could I take you to lunch? And he goes, yeah. Everybody likes a free lunch, right? So I go there and I ask them a series of questions to learn more about them, like I care, because it's important, because I do care. and then I'm going to tell them about our value proposition. And then at the end, I'm saying, who do you know that needs help? And he gives me a list of names. How hard is that? Not very hard. And do you have long-term care insurance? Most realtors aren't going to ask that question because it doesn't matter to the sale. But it matters to somebody who's thinking of moving out of their home and worried if they have enough money for care for the rest of their life. Right? And understanding this world is going to allow you to show up differently in the eyes of a wealthy older adult, in the luxury person, right? So what about investors? What matters most to investors? How do we help them with that? Well, I explained to them there's only two types of real estate. There's a primary residence. And a primary residence, you've got a family benefit. You live there, you enjoy it. There's emotional value. And you rightfully should have emotional attachment to it. You're going to make emotional decisions, right? So a buyer who buys a primary residence, or the ones that's selling one, right? And then there's a rental property, investment property. There's no enjoyment because you don't live there, right? It's an asset. And how should you see it? With a financial decision. And the reason why I bring this up is when I deal with older adults, they almost always attach an emotional decision on a rental property. And I have to pull them away from that. I have to make sure I understand that, do you really want to approach it that way? They say, well, that was my mom's house and she gave it to me. And oh, I remember the days I lived there. I said, that sounds awesome. And I totally understand your feelings towards that. And it makes all the sense in the world. But let me ask you this. Do you get any current enjoyment? Well, no, I don't. Okay, so how should you see that? I'm thinking you might want to see it like a stock, bond, or other instrument that generates you income. And if that's the case, would you like to do that? They say yes. Great. So would you like me to help you? They say yes. Then we can help them with what we call an asset performance test. Anybody know what an asset performance test is? Probably not, because I made it up. I actually did. I coined it myself. All it is a cash on cash analysis and a cap rate analysis. That's all it is. But when I say those words, what was your feeling? I want to know. I want to know how my asset is performing, right? And so these are attention grabbers that's going to make you sound different and look different. But more importantly, you're going to show up differently, because I'm going to tell you 90 to 95% of the time, I show them that their asset is generating less money than they can make. Simple. When I run the numbers, they're not generating much money. Why? Because Johnny, the tenant, he's a good guy. He's been there 20 years. Never made the rent. Why? He's a good guy. Well, they made an emotional decision versus a financial decision. So at the presentation, what are the questions you can ask? Again, understanding motivation. What was your goal in acquiring that property? Right. Sometimes they were intentionally buying it, right? They wanted to purchase it, but most of the time now, it was an inheritance, and it became an investment property. Why does this happen? Ladies and gentlemen, we're on the brink of the largest transition of wealth in the world in real estate, where baby boomers and their parents are passing on. What happens? It goes to the next generation. They don't live there. What is it? It's an investment property, and they need help. They need guidance. They need a plan. How do you build wealth, transfer wealth, and minimize taxes and facilitate the goals of the family? That's what a real estate planner does. So what's your goal now, right? It's either one of two things. It's either cash flow or appreciation. Everybody wants both. Everybody wants both. If you had to pick one of the two, what would it be? And then what's causing you to want to sell it and do a 1031 exchange? Because I wouldn't recommend them selling it without a 1031 exchange if they have a large significant gain. Hence the question earlier, what's your capital gains tax liability? Now, most people aren't going to understand that. Most people don't know what it is or how to calculate it. That's where you step up and say, let's talk about your cost basis. And you go from your cost basis to the gain, that's your capital gain. Right? And if you could make more money each month, would you? And we know the answer to that. Yeah, that's a simple one, because that's my closing line. Would you like to remove the burden of the rental property? Oftentimes do, yes. right? That's why this is what's built our business, ladies and gentlemen. And this is why this year we had our best year ever. You know, our market shrunk by 44% of transactions and our business grew 22%. Yeah, because we had a focus. We had a focus on getting listings, right? So learning about the relinquished property is really important. You know your capital gains tax liability if you don't execute it. By the way, that's one of the first things that we have them do for us, to talk to their CPA and give me a number before we get started, because that's your pain number, because people will run away from pain faster than they will towards pleasure. Okay. Do you have any more mortgage balance? That's important. Why? Well, for most realtors, they don't care. We care because whatever, if you're selling an investment property, you have to buy equal or greater than, which means you have to replace the mortgage, the debt. That means they have to have the ability to do that. Or we roll them into what we call a Delaware Statutory Trust, a DST. By the way, at Family Reunion, we're going to have a mastermind that's going to dive deep into all of these concepts. Family Reunion on February 17th at 9 a.m. at the Convention Hall in Anaheim, room 202. Sorry, little commercial there. What's your holding cost, right? How much money are you getting in rent? What we need is to know their income and their expenses to run any numbers, right? Would you like a free asset performance test? The answer is yes. Are you self-managing, or do you have a property management firm? That's really important, because that'll change their numbers by 10%, right? Because there's money that has to be paid to the property manager, which is a higher expense, or not, if they're managing it. And you want to know that experience with the property manager, and or if they're self-managing it, right? You want to get into their heart and their mind of how do they see owning this rental property? Have you made any improvements? When was the last time you went into the home? That's an important one, because they may say, oh, no, I fixed the kitchen and I renovated it. So when did you do that? Oh, about 15 years ago. When was the last time you moved in, looked into the place? Oh, 15 years ago. A lot could have happened in the last 15 years, right? What kind of lease term do you have with the tenants? In most jurisdictions, if you have a lease agreement that runs in perpetuity, which means the next buyer has to take on that, right? And so that could be problematic, right? So you want to plan for success. You want to know what that's going to look like and how you're going to address it. Many times we have a model on encouraging the tenant to leave with incentives, right? If you needed to. And same questions. Who's your trusted string CPA and financial planner? Now, what the other one you want to do is determine specific goals and timing. In this part about it, it's about building rapport and trust. Okay, by the time I get to this part, and keep in mind, it only took me about 20 minutes to get to this part in my listing presentation. Why? Because I asked a lot of questions. I already found out a lot of information. I already built trust, right? I have rapport. Then we're going to dig into why they're thinking of doing what they're doing, right? And then we want to explain the process. So if it's an investment property, you know, at the end of the day, when you're gone, who's going to get what? Okay, what's going to happen? See, our target market is the wealthy older adult, and what happens is they get to a phase of life that they're looking at the future. They're looking at, when I'm gone, my kids can't manage this anymore. Or when I'm gone, man, they're going to run that thing into the ground. Or when I'm gone, they're going to fight, right? I don't want any of those things. So I want to get into their head to find out, okay, what's the plan? Well, typically their plan is to keep it in the trust. And that's a good thing, to keep it in trust, don't get me wrong, because the trust keeps it safe from probate. But it doesn't keep it safe from your family, does it? And that's why we have family disputes all the time. Why is that? Because the trust doesn't have all the instructions, number one, but most importantly, the kids are not alike, right? So I asked a series of questions. Or I said, oh, why did you amass this amount of wealth? And they go, well, it's because it's for my kids. You know, it's for my kids. Okay, great. So tell me about your kids. Are they all alike? And instantly they go, no, they're not alike. Do they think alike? No. Do they act alike? No. Are they in the same economic phase of life? No. Well, what happens is when you die and it's in the trust, you're putting your kids in business together with the most amount of wealth they've ever owned, and you're gone. The judge is gone. That's why we have so many fights. because they don't agree. They have different agendas. They have spouses that sometimes are more vocal, right? Things show up like this, and it happens every single day in every community that these things show up, right? There's a way to get around that, and we help them predetermine their inheritance with a proper real estate plan. They want to give it to the kids, or they're going to donate it, right? So my question is, well, by the way, if they want to give it to the kids now, please don't recommend that. And here's why. If my mom gave me her property while she was alive, and then she passed away, I absorbed her cost basis. It's called a carry over in cost basis. She bought it for $25,000. I sell it for $1 million. I am now responsible for all of her gain. Why? Because the cost basis carried from her to me because she was alive. Now, if she kept it in her trust until she died, I get a step up in cost basis where the cost basis rises to the market value of date of death. I have zero capital gains tax. Ladies and gentlemen, the number one enemy to building wealth is taxes. And as a realtor, we have to educate our population how to build generational wealth. And most people don't know that. And it's sad when I see what happens. It's horrible that they're giving away so much money. Our government's happy with that, but it's unfortunate because they're not building wealth, right? So if you could bless your kids today while you're alive, would you? They all say yes, right? Who would say no, right? How do I do that, right? And then I say, so well, tell me about your family. And I say, and I get granular. I said, let's start with the oldest. What's his name? Where does he work? What does he do? Does he own his own home? Does he have kids? What are their names? Because I need to know, when she talks about Johnny, I need to know who Johnny's related to. You see, this is a relational business. So what you see in the real estate planner is, it's a difference between a transactional commodity of a realtor to a relational consultant as a realtor. And that's what a real estate planner does. You separate yourself from 99% of the population in the market, because we're not transactional. We care, we're relational, and we care as if that's my family, right? We're going to take care of them. And the next question is, who would you like to bless? After you find out there's 3 kids, you know, and you find out, well, all my kids are fine, but my granddaughter, she's awesome. True story. Grandmother had a beat up old investment property that was given to her from her parents, right? Many, many, many years ago. So it's huge gain. So she wanted to sell it and give the money to her granddaughter. Now, her granddaughter was the golden child, right? She was a good kid, good human being, went to a nursing school, got her nursing degree, graduated, is working, making good money, got good credit. What does she not have? A down payment. So what did grandma do? We taught her how she could create this legacy while she's alive. We sold the investment property at $700,000, all equity. We did a 1031 exchange and bought a condo of $900,000 for the granddaughter. And then the granddaughter took a small mortgage out of $200,000. So now they own it together, because when grandma passes away, the granddaughter gets it tax-free. So she's basically creating an inheritance plan for her family, for the loved ones, while she's alive. And the best part about this story, ladies and gentlemen, Sunday nights is dinner in the condo. Same one they own together. You know, that's a legacy, right? That's something that you have the ability to change lives, to bring families together, not rip them apart, right? To pass on a legacy, to teach people with knowledge and compassion and curiosity how to pass on a legacy. Would you like to do this sooner or later? It's always sooner, right? Okay. We say money is good for the good it does, because this is what Gary Keller has always preached to us from the day I met him. Money is good for the good it does. What good do you want it to do? You see, there's a lot of wealthy people out there, and most of their wealth is in real estate, and it's tied up. They could have millions and millions of dollars sitting in real estate, and they got grandkids that don't have a home, that's renting forever. What if we could bless them? Money is good for the good it does. So when I ask them the question, I say, money is good for the good it does. What would you like to do with yours? I said, well, my granddaughter, well, she's awesome. I'd love to help her somehow. I don't want to give her money. Then don't give her money. We can create an inheritance plan for her. Right? So the KW Real Estate Planner it's really system. What you'll learn from us is proven conversations and questions, as you've heard today, to secure appointments and agreements. This is really the basis of everything we do, because that's how you're going to grow your business. That's how you're going to show up differently. That's how people are going to want to refer you business, right? And you're going to attract business with those conversations and questions. Next is systems, models, and tools that are going to get you listings. Yeah, been doing this a long time. We failed more than anybody else, trust me. I tell people, why reinvent the wheel? You may as well jump on the back of somebody who's failed so many times, like myself. And we learn from failure, right? That's the best teacher we could ever have, right? Failure. Okay. And then building a niche with really no competition, little to no competition. Has anybody heard of a real estate planner in their market? Probably not, because I made that up too. Because that's what we are. And Julie and I were sat at the dining room table and we talked about what we're doing, and we say, well, there's a CPA, a trust attorney, and a financial, who's managing the real estate? We need a real estate planner. Well, that's actually us. And this is what we're teaching. If you're interested, take your phone out. There's a QR code on that. You'll get all the information you'll ever need regarding our community, the application, videos, testimonies, and the works. Again, there's a minimum entry to our community. It's $75,000 of GCI and 2 years of license in good standing. And we are going to limit this to only 5% of agents in each market center. And the community is only for Keller Williams agents, sorry. Now, more specifically, what does that look like? Every month, there's a training and certification. So right now we're finishing up 1031 exchanges. We've done that for 3 months, right? And then we'll go into DSTs, which is Delaware Statutory Trusts and Legacy Planning. We're going to go into trust sales and probate sales. Why? Because there's 2.1 million older adults that will pass away this year in America. 80% of them own real estate. That's 1.68 million potential listings. And guess what? It's either going to be a trust sale or a probate sale. 70% of them will be a trust sale, 30% will be a probate sale. These are data facts that we know. And we also know how to attract them. Because once you become that person, and once you have a system to attract them, then you're not cold calling. They're just starting to come to you, right? They're going to come to you. Senior relocation services is what we started with in September. We finalized with a test called the Real Estate Planner. Now, every single week, we also have a mastermind. So we have a training, and 3 weeks, for the next 3 weeks in the month, there's a mastermind. And we bring in top agents, we bring in experts, kind of like your podcast now, right? It's educational, but specific to the content that we're covering that really focuses on building your business. And then every Monday, there's a role playing, right? You get all of that for $199, right? You'll get the private Facebook group where they're transferring referrals, asking questions, bringing solutions, sharing success stories, which is the most exciting because people are doing it a little differently all around the country. And that's awesome, right? We want to lift everybody's success up. Right? We also have an exclusive contest, trip to Hawaii, not that anybody wants one. We'll have social media tiles that go out that can promote you and your brand as not an agent, as a real estate planner, and the leads from the community. And I'll end you with this one. Oops. And that's all I have for you all today. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Dan, that was amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, just the questions alone were amazing. For every appointment we go on, to incorporate those questions, it was sounded like a business conversation. You don't come across as a real estate agent. It's really different. It's very refreshing. Consultant, fiduciary, whatever you want to call it. It was amazing. So thank you for that. And it seems like a lot of value. Any questions out there for Dan, but while we still have him for another minute or two?
This was pure gold, Dan. Thank you so much. I mean, so much more than I ever imagined I'd get out of this call. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
There's a question here. Definitely, Anja, I agree with that. There's a question here that just came up on the chat. What kind of touches would you do to your luxury clients in your database?
So
Geraldine.
our existing clients that we're working with, or past clients?
Maybe whatever, maybe the past clients, if you don't mind.
Okay. So we are marketing wise, obviously email and touches by phone. We do mail as well, snail mail. Julie does an annual update of our life that everyone really, really loves. We've been doing that for years. Yeah, and because we do so many activities, they hear and see it. And then also social media. By the way, one of our community members taught us how to take your database, right? Take your data, put it in a CSV file and get it into Facebook, and it'll get into everyone's feed. I didn't know that. I just learned that because one of our members in our team on our community shared that in our community. It's quite amazing. Yeah, so we got 17,000 in our database, right? And it's called an audience in Facebook. Again, I'm an immigrant to technology, so don't ask me any core questions beyond that. But yeah,
Fantastic.
we do client appreciation events. We do about 3 of them a year. We do one big one, 2 smaller ones, and then we take our top 10 and we really take care of them. Take them to dinners. One of our conservators that send us a lot of business, 10 or 12 listings a year. I took them Friday to Kapalua to Maui to play golf for a day, had dinner, and came back home. So yeah, take care of stack rank your database, monetize it. Basically, we took our database and we said, okay, not everyone's equal, right? And so people coming to an open house shouldn't be treated the same as a guy that sends you 10 listings, right? So if you stack rank them, we do diamond, gold, what is it? Diamond, platinum, I don't even know. Diamond, platinum, gold, bronze, and then black. there's black too. Just joking.
Good to know. So that way you rank them and you know who to throw extra love towards these people.
Yeah, monetize. Not everyone's the same. Not every action is going to be the same.
Very important. Very important. So here's a question from Eric Davis in our office here in Coral Gables, Miami. On the seminars, do you partner with a tax attorney or other professional?
When I first started, I did. After probably the 6th month, I didn't. I found that you don't want them calling let's say you brought in a panel of people and then they're going to give out their business cards. The people in your audience are going to call those people and not you. Right? So you want to be the point of contact for everything. So you're going to share, I share enough to bring interest and curiosity, but not enough to be, I'm not a CPA, I'm not an accountant, I'm not an attorney, but I can put you in touch with those folks.
Great. Excellent. And there's another question from Vanessa James. How are you finding your target audience for seminars?
Yeah, we've been doing this for a long time, right? So we kind of know who they are. Originally, we started in the newspaper. Why? Because they look in the newspaper. 17 years later, we're still in the newspaper. Okay, so we branded ourselves. Every Tuesday, they've seen us for 17 years, right? How can you do it today? If I were to start, you can actually use, what was it? What were you using? PropStream. So we use PropStream. If you don't have PropStream, you can use it. It's a system where you can get data anywhere in the country. Yeah, you give me a zip code, I can find the categories of people that they have.
Interesting.
And then the mailer that goes out, again, ask questions. Is this you? If the answer is yes, they're calling you. And so we got a couple of calls a week just for that.
Interesting. And there's a question here from Sandra. If you were to farm a luxury neighborhood, what strategy would you use? She's asking. She's in our market center here in Coral Gables.
It depends on your level of experience. For me, the way I would do it is the number of the types of homes that I've sold and how we've sold it. I show the marketing, the videos that we've had. We do a lot of lifestyle videos. As far as that, I think that's pretty much it. You know, most of our luxury properties actually are either coming from our database or people that have looked online for us. They're looking for a luxury agent.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. It's been amazing. Anjali, Jen, any other thoughts, questions? Anyone else out there? It's 12 o'clock. We want to value your time because we know it's 7 a.m. and it's time to surf.
Yeah, the sun's coming up. I got to get out of here. Before I go, so Keller Williams Real Estate Planner, we're going to be at Family Reunion. We have a mastermind. If anyone's free, February 17th, it's free, 9 o'clock in the morning in Anaheim. And then we have 3 breakout sessions, key relationships with all real estate planners, another breakout session called Seniors Need Solutions, Relocation Services, and more in the shift. And then I'm going to do a breakout with Brett Tanner called Protect Your Clients' Generational Wealth. Right. So yeah, and we'll have a booth there as well. Please come and visit us. If you're not coming to Family Reunion and you would like me to share with your market center or your region, please reach out to me. You can go to that QR code that I shared with you, and there's a button that says Talk to Dan. You could do that, and you'll go straight into my calendar, and we can set that up for your market center or your region. We do a lot of top 100 events around the country. My goal is to hit all 32 regions in the next 2 years. And so there's a lot of work ahead of us. So if you know of anybody that would like that, be happy to come. And we're coming out to Tampa in April, Tampa and Orlando. We're doing a live show there. We're coming out to Las Vegas in March. Yeah, so we're traveling and we're gonna share as much as we can.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Dan. Thank you.
And if it's more stuff like this, it's going to be mind blowing. So I think we all left a lot wiser after this call. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yep. Yes. So thank you. Yeah, that was terrific. So relevant for us here in Florida for sure. So everybody, thank you for joining. I put links in the chat. I know I do that several times. The recording of this call will be sent out. So if you want to be on our email list, you can subscribe there, or you can watch the Facebook group for those updates. And I've also put the link to YouTube in there. Our next call is already March 1st. So we have a terrific speaker already lined up for March. Heather Kane, Style to Design. She's going to talk a lot about not just her Style to Design program, but really winning listings. And she's got a really terrific presentation that brings a lot of value. So you'll see some information on that on our Facebook page. So keep an eye out. And I think that's it for me. Thank you so much, Dan.
Look forward to having all of you on the next call, and bring a friend with you.
Yep. Have fun on the surf, Dan. Dan, I have to know, how cold is the water this morning?
Oh, it's going to be cold. It'll probably be maybe 75, 74.
Oh, that's not as cold as I thought.
Cold for us.
Yeah, that is cold, but it's it's February. I was expecting a little colder number there.
Yeah, no, we're in
the water temperature in Rhode Island.
Yeah, right.
In the summer.
Right.
Well,
have fun.
Dolphins for us.
Yes. Whales are out there too today.
Turtles.
Yeah.
I need to win
Okay,
that.
guys.
contest.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Everyone. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
See you March 1st.
Have a successful day.
Awesome.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was
care.
really fantastic.
Oh, will I be able to get the recording as well?
Absolutely. I will have that sent to you.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.